everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Mz.gloglo Loves Love and the Double L Gang. I am back with another video for you guys. I am back with the second part of lesson 3. The Bible study lesson. I'm back with the second part. On this particular video, we will be answering the questions only. I went through all of the reading and gave you an overview of the scriptures that was in the lesson and everything yesterday. So this is part 2 to lesson 3. And I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm sorry about that. I had a phone call I had to take. So, yes, I am back with Bible study lesson number 3, part 2. And in this lesson, we'll just kind of go over what we answering question 2, because on the video, the first part yesterday, I went through all the readings, gave you guys the scriptures and all that. So this is just the answering the questions part. Excuse me. You guys just excuse me. I was drinking some lemon water and I swallowed it too fast. And I swear, it feel like the water is just a bubble sitting up in my throat. So bear with me if I do a lot of burping. I'm sorry. I hope it's of no offense to anyone. Okay, so the touch note on this lesson again, we came from the book of Exodus, and we were talking about Moses and talking about how the Lord had called him to free his peoples out of bondage, and how God had allowed the Israelites to go into bondage for 400 years. 400 years. And then even when God freed them through Moses, by using Moses to perform the miracles and the disasters and stuff, how they would end up wandering in the desert for 40 years. So this was a really good Bible study lesson. I got a lot of good information in my mind and stuff from it. So yeah, it's really good. You guys should read it. The key verse in this lesson is, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of slavery. You have no other God before me. That comes from Exodus 20, verse 2 and 3. We're going to jump right on into these questions. Question number 1. Let's read this the introduction right here first. It say the first half of Exodus is all about God setting the Israelites free from slavery, while the second half is all about how they were to live now that they were free. This is a direct correlation to the New Testament. God set us free from our sins and then give us direction on how to live properly by serving him. Genesis ended with a group of 70 peoples from the line of Jacob going into Egypt to be saved from a worldwide famine. That was during the time the famine was going on. This was also during the time when Joseph had been sold, and how him being sold was not a mistake. It was a part of God's plan, because if it wouldn't have been for him, his peoples would have starved to death. Okay? So, let's go into the first question. The first question say, why do you think God allowed them to be enslaved for so long? I think, for me reading and researching, that God was teaching them the importance of choice and responsibility. Okay? Slavery was a punishment, and during the Bible days, slavery was a punishment for idolatry and disobedience. God also was bringing judgment by him letting the peoples be enslaved for 400 years. He was also bringing judgment on the nation that had enslaved them, okay? 1, when he brought them out of slavery, he already had made a promise to Moses that they was going to leave with many possessions, great possessions, stuff that they didn't come there with. 2, God wanted to wait before giving them the promised land. He wanted to wait. He didn't want to just bring them out immediately and give them the promised land. Okay? Why? Because they still worshiped other gods and idols, and they still committed many other sins. Think about when God delivered them, brought them through the Red Sea, and they was wandering in the wilderness. Think about this. Every time Moses went up on a mount to have a meeting with the Lord, came back, they had to made calves and all kind of golden images and stuff. Okay. And God knew that their heart was not ready for such great blessings. Okay. So he just knew. He know us all. Then I said, so God allowed them to be enslaved so long so that they can learn to trust him and to know that he is faithful to them, and that they can face crisis with comfort rather than with fear and complaining. He wanted them to know that they can face, no matter what they're going through, that they can face it with comfort rather than facing it with fear and complaining about it. Fear and complaining is not going to help you. This eye is messing with me. I don't know if it's going to rain or what. I can always tell when it's going to be raining or cloudy because, like, my leg, when I was in 2001, I stepped in a hole that was on the side of a sidewalk. And when I did it, it totally dislocated my feet from my ankle. So I had to get a metal rod put in my right leg down to my ankle with, I think I had 10 screws in it. So yeah. And I could tell when it get cloudy, that hurts. Or my eye started running water because of the stroke. I don't know why when you had a past hurts and pains, when it get cloudy and stuff, your body really goes through some changes from that. Okay. The second question, how did Moses' upbringing have a positive impact, excuse me, on the Israelites? He knew he had a positive impact on the Israelite because he knew how to communicate with authority in Egypt. Even though he wasn't a good speaker and his nanny was his mom, that's how he learned about his peoples and cared for them through their oppression. Okay, you know Moses was raised by the queen, by Pharaoh's daughter. And he learned how to communicate because he was already living in the home of a king and a queen. So his etiquette was going to be good, okay? They were going to teach him how to present himself, okay? And then the thing is the nanny that took care of him was his biological mom. That's the way she could stay close and keep an eye on her son because she put him, remember, in that basket and put him in that river to keep him from being killed. He was the firstborn, okay? So that's how he had a positive impact on them because he grew up in the king's house. So they already taught him how to have a great customer service skills and stuff, okay? How to carry himself, how to handle himself, how to speak. Even though Moses was not a good speaker, he still knew how to speak with authority because of his upbringing, okay? Number 3, it says, what leadership traits did Moses acquire during the time in the wilderness as a shepherd? Remember, all these questions is coming from Exodus, because that's what we just went over in that lesson. Exodus. Okay. What leadership traits did Moses acquire during his time in the wilderness as a shepherd? One trait. Listen to this. Number 1, humility, empathy, heroism, patience, self-reflection, charism, and wisdom. Those are the traits that he acquired during his time as a shepherd in the wilderness. It say in all history, God rarely seems to call the qualified, but he always qualifies the call. Moses was a runaway from the royal court and had begun to build a new life as a shepherd in Midian, modern day Saudi Arabia. Okay. He no longer had ties with the Israelites. So when God tells Moses his plan, he immediately put up a defense about why he isn't right for the job. Question number 5. What excuses did Moses give to God? What excuses did Moses give to God when God called him for that task? Now remember that God God rarely, never ever rarely calls the qualified, okay? He called people who he are going to qualify. Okay? So what excuse did Moses give to God for not wanting to do the task of going in and to free the Israelites? Moses told God that he was unqualified for the task and that he should get a better qualified person. Now, how do you think God feel when Moses told him that he wasn't qualified? Oh yeah, the Bible said that at that point God got angry with Moses. And then the next question said, has God ever called you to fulfill a task that you weren't qualified for, and what happened? I would say that God have called me for a task that I wasn't qualified for, and it is being a missionary, because I always have been very shy. But when he called me, I learned to. He took away my shyness, and he taught me how to see through my spiritual eyes, so that when I speak, I can see past flesh. If that makes sense. Okay, that's the best way I can explain that. Oh, the next question. If Passover is an image of Jesus' crucifixion, what could the Red Sea crossing represent? If those two intertwine together, if the Passover is an image of Jesus Christ's crucifixion, what could the Red Sea crossing represent? What do it represent to you? What do Jesus' crucifixion represent? What? The answer is salvation. Plain and simple. I don't have to put now another word to that. Salvation. Now, next question is, one way that God tried to help the Israelites follow his plan to become more holy was to give them the 10 commandments and later on the law before Christ. The only way that you could be counted as holy and blameless in front of God was by following the law to the letter T. There was zero room for error, and God knew what was best for them. So in reality, the law was a way of protecting them. Based on what Jesus said about the 10 commandments in Matthew 5, how can you look at each of them through the lens of the New Testament? Hint, they give you a hint. They say some can remains the same. Now, this is kind of hard to explain, but I got something pulled up. I'm going to get on my phone in a minute. But for me studying the Bible, I learned that there are 1,050 New Testament commandments. And there are 1,050 commandments in the New Testament. They cover every phase of human life in his relationship with or to God. There are 1,050 commandments in the New Testament that covers the human life, our life as a human, and our relationship with or to God. Now, as far as the honor the Sabbath, in Colossians 2:16, it releases us from the Sabbath rule of rest and worship. Jesus became our Sabbath and our rest, and that's in Hebrews 4:1-11. You have to read that, but let me pull this up what I want to read. I hope it's saved to my phone, because some of these questions was hard to answer. You need a reference or you need a help to answer. Some of them is just hard. How do they correlate? Some of them are hard. Okay, let's see. Where we go? I'm going to give you what you can read. Number one, the first commandment: do not worship any other God. In the New Commandments, in the New Testament, it is in 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 6. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 5. Do not make idols. That's commandment number 2. Do not have any other God before me, okay? It comes from 1 John 5 and 21. Do not misuse the name of the Lord. Do not take the Lord name in vain. It is 1 Timothy 6 and 1. Remember the Sabbath. Colossians 2 and 16. And in Colossians 2 and 16, it's telling us that we have been released from the Sabbath rule. Jesus is the Lord of Sabbath, and he became that for us when he gave his life, okay? Then honor your father and mothers in Ephesians 6, 1 and 2. Do not murder, Romans 13 and 9. 1 Peter 4 and 15. Do not commit adultery. 1 Corinthians 6, 9 and 10. Do not steal. Ephesians 4 and 8. Do not give false testimony. Revelations 21 and 8. And do not covet. Colossians 3 and 5. Now, the 10 Commandments helps us as unbelievers, help the unbelievers in any age recognize their imperfections because it summarizes the moral content of God's law. The dialogue can be used as a mirror to show people their sins. The commandments reflects unchanging character of God, so they, like God, are eternal, timeless, universally applicable, and immutable. Okay? That's what I got out of that. Like I said, that question was pretty hard to answer. So, I don't know. It was hard. And that was it. Let's go to this. This is not going to be a really, really long video because I'm going through these questions pretty fast, okay? Because I got another Bible study lesson to upload on my other channel, so I'm trying to get through this. I'm at the final thought. Okay. And it says, how can teaching of Exodus be applied to your current walk with the Lord? How can the teaching of Exodus be applied to your current walk with the Lord? First, let's define what Exodus means. Exodus means exit or depart. Exodus teaches us what we should expect from God. It gives us a reason to trust God in difficult times. Yes, it gives us a reason. We should trust God anyway, but it teaches us what we should expect from God, okay? It shows how God is at work to save the world from sin, from death, and from the devil. God was real busy in Exodus. That is literally the end of that lesson. We will be moving on to the next Bible study lesson, which will be 4, and we'll be coming from Leviticus, the book of Leviticus. Okay, but I hope you guys got something out of that because we should look at Moses' life and think about how God picked Moses, somebody that couldn't even speak well, and he wasn't qualified for the task, but God qualified him for the task. Yes, he did. And Moses tried to make excuses. He tried to make excuses about it. Oh, yes, he did. Let me see. Wait a minute. Let me find something right quick for you guys. Let me tell you about the excuses Moses used. Okay. Moses used 5 excuses, I think, before he finally realized and recognized you're going to do this task because you have been chosen by God. Moses' first excuse was that he was a nobody, a totally inadequate to do what God was calling him to do in Exodus chapter 3. God told Moses he would certainly be with him and enable him to do all that he wanted done. Okay, even though Moses said he was inadequate to do the job, God said, I'm totally with you and I'm going to enable you to do the job. That's what he's telling some of us. Some of us don't want to do what God have called us to do. Don't want to live that purpose out, but it's going to be done. Okay. Moses' second excuse was that he did not have any answer concerning whose authority he had to be Israel's deliverers. That's in Exodus chapter 3, verse 13 through 22. This was really quite foolish. God told Moses that he was Jehovah, the self-existent creator who was sending him to Egypt, the infinite God of the universe who would give him the authority to act in his great name. What was his great name? I am who I am. Okay, Moses was to tell the Israelites in Egypt that God was going to deliver them from slavery and take them to the promised land. He had given to their forefather Abraham. God would deliver Israel through the display of supernatural miracles. Moses was still not submissive and gave God a third excuse. Moses' third excuse to God was, he raised the possibility that none of the leaders of Israel would believe him. Oh, nobody's going to believe me. That was his third excuse. That's in Exodus 4. Okay. God's response to the excuse was he gave Moses the ability to manifest. Okay, 3 supernatural miracles. And this would prove that God had sent him. Moses was still belligerent and gave God another excuse. Here come that fourth excuse now. No matter how good, how much God is showing him what he can do, how he got his back, he's still giving them excuses. I can see that being compared to a whole lot of us. Excuses after excuse after excuse, okay? The fourth excuse, Moses, and this is in Exodus 4, starting at the 10th verse. Moses said that he was not an eloquent speaker and that he had problems speaking. It is interesting to note. I gotta get this water out of my chest. It is interesting to note that Acts 7 and 22 states that when Moses was in Egypt before his exile, he was mighty in words. Okay, Moses had either lost his ability to speak or was just making another excuse. God answered Moses though and told him that he would enable him to speak and teach him exactly what to say. Moses still wasn't satisfied. Here come his fifth and final excuse. Moses simply told God that he was unqualified for the task and that he should get a better qualified person to do it. Exodus 4:13 through 17, y'all. At this point, the Bible tells us that God got angry with Moses. He got angry with Moses. God's answer was that he would allow his older brother Aaron, now he done gave him a predecessor or whatever you call it, his oldest brother Aaron to assist him. Now Aaron is going to be the speaker for him, okay, to assist him. But that Moses would still be God's choice. Even though he was going to let Aaron assist him, he wanted him to know that Moses was still his choice. Aaron is just going to be his assistant, okay? That Moses was going to be God's choice to deliver Israel from slavery. See, can't nothing and nobody change God's plan, deter God's plan, okay? God's will is going to be God's will. It's going to be done. Excuse me. Moses finally submitted to obey God. Finally, guys, in Exodus 4:18 and 2. Moses is a great example of how God can initially take on an unwilling and belligerent man and transform him into a very powerful and effective servant. That's what God did for Moses. He took a belligerent and unwilling man and transformed him into a very powerful and effective servant. Moses developed a very intimate and personal relationship with God. Yes. So, the lesson to be learned from this Bible study in Exodus is this. God get upset and angry with people who make excuses for not doing his will. Do not make an excuse for not to do God's will. Trust God, do his will, okay? 2, disobedience to God can result in the loss of many of his blessings. You do not want to be disobedient to God. 3, God is Jehovah, the self-existing, eternal, infinite creator who can enable his servant to accomplish whatever he will and ask him to do. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is impossible with God. You don't want an angry God. So when God asks you to do something, or he gives you a task to do something, don't be like Moses and come up with 5 excuses because it made God angry. Okay? And he still had to do it. Okay? So that is the end of this Bible study lesson. I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, spam up them comments down below and let me know what you guys think. Be looking out for the next Bible study lesson that's going to be coming from Leviticus. That's going to be coming from Leviticus and Mark. Yeah, Leviticus and Mark. Okay, so it'll be 2 more Bible study lessons. One going on this channel, one going on the next channel. So be looking out. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that red bell. Tap that notification button. Thumbs up this video. Leave me a comment down below and share this video out. Go tell a friend, tell everybody friend, tell your mama friend, your daddy friend, tell everybody friend about what's going on right here on Mz.gloglo's channel. Remember, we are all under one God, one nation, one love, peace. Until the next video, remember, God loves you so much that he gave his only begotten son. And I do too. And I'll see you on the next Bible study video. Peace. Happy Tuesday. Goodbye.